There we go. The mic is unmuted. Hello, everyone. Happy Friday evening, afternoon, wherever you're at, whatever time zone you're in. Some people theoretically are still in the morning time zone. Hawaii. Kelt, hey there. Welcome in, buddy. I just want to give a quick update. This isn't going to take long. This is going to be like a half an hour recap of what happened today in Lori Daybell's status hearing. There we are. There's Salty. Hey, Salty, welcome in.
Hello. Sorry I'm late.
No worries. No worries. We're just getting started. It usually takes people a few minutes to trickle in anyway.
Yeah. I had to get a fresh cup of coffee. Come outside for a little bit before it gets too cold.
Ah, yes. It's still pretty warm here too, but it's getting down chilly. Like in this part of Arizona, nights are getting pretty chilly. We had for my granddaughter's first birthday last night, we had a nice little bonfire. Not a bonfire. We had a nice little fire in the fire pit. So
yeah, it got cold here last night for sure.
We needed it though. I was saying that I'm not going to take a real long time. This is just going to be a brief live to go over the hearing today. I headed down to the Maricopa Superior Court, the Maricopa County public complex with all the public buildings. I intended to get down there around 7:30 when the courthouse opens. That's awesome. I'm already having technical difficulties.
Uh-oh.
That's awesome. We didn't have hardly anything last night.
It happens to me like that. I'll be great and good to go for a show or two, and then nothing but issues sometimes. It's crazy.
Well, in this house where I'm staying here, the router is fairly far away, so there's several walls between me and the router, so the signal is low. So I got the range extender, and it worked last night, but I guess it's going to try and give me problems today.
Mine's done a lot better since I moved the router into the same room with the computer now. Instead of having to travel through the walls, it's doing much better. But yeah, so far I haven't had to do the hardwiring like I was going to do. I haven't done that yet. So
I'm going to try that next. Actually, I need to do a live tomorrow, and we can figure out something to dive into, maybe more of the Lori Daybell stuff. And by the way, I'm going to start calling her Lori Daybell because that's what she calls herself.
I know. I thought about you when I was making a thing earlier. I was like, Lori Vallow Daybell. What about just call her Vallow Daybell? I don't know what to call her anymore.
Well,
yes, I remember you saying that legally she's Daybell.
Yeah, legally she's Daybell, and she did Charles Vallow wrong. She did him wrong.
Oh gosh, it's so wrong.
Whatever the result of this trial is and the next trial, she did him wrong. She just said out of the blue one day, I don't love you and JJ anymore. And
yeah.
She doesn't deserve the name Vallow. I'm sorry. I'm just going to call her Lori Daybell from now on.
This is true. That is a good way to put that and to look at it, because I feel the same way. By all accounts, Charles did nothing to this woman, nothing to her, except provide for her and her children and be a family. And he didn't deserve what happened at all. And he saw the warning signs. That's the sad part. He saw the warning signs. He tried to sound the alarm bells, and it just wasn't happening.
He filed for divorce. He filed for a restraining order or whatever it was.
And he wanted to have her evaluated because she was getting on the fringe there.
Yeah.
But there's a lot. I agree about doing another show because there's a lot to unpack with that case alone, not even getting into her previous case. Of course, that will play into it as you talk about it. But, there's a lot of interesting things to watch, to look at, that's going to pertain to this particular case of Charles, his trial. So, and we didn't even get to any of that stuff yet. So it's good stuff to get a good refresher on really what's happening with Charles's case and get him the justice that he deserves now.
Yes, and his family, which are also victims in this, and his extended family. So that's
They've been through it because
yeah.
that's the hard part. They've been through it because not only was there Charles, there was JJ. That was their biological, that Kay is the grandmother to JJ and the sister to Charles. So the family has lost a lot, and all at the hands of this one woman.
Yeah, and her brother.
Yeah.
Who will
Yeah. Her and her family,
never
I
be
guess.
bought. Yeah.
Not all of
Who will
her
never
family.
be brought
Let
to
me take that
justice.
back. Yeah, because she's got her brother, she's had an older brother. Like I said, he has a podcast. I've watched it several times. They don't buy into any of this Lori stuff. They were onto her for a long, long time. And, her son Colby also is on YouTube now. And he's talking about the case and what all he went through. And she destroyed a lot of lives.
Yeah, there's a trail here. There's a ugly, nasty trail here, and her having her motion granted to represent herself today is probably the best thing that they have to hope for justice being granted. Although her public defenders were not impressive to me in either of the hearings that I saw yesterday or today. So I don't know, but
yeah,
but they were just recently appointed, so they weren't up to speed on the case. So I can't judge them too harshly. Plus, they're public defenders, so they're not getting paid a whole lot of money. And you could tell by the way they dress, they don't get paid all that well, and they probably have 4,300 cases. And to pick up, I don't know if it's a capital murder case. I don't know what they have in Arizona, but at the very least, she can be sentenced to life in prison. Okay, so the judge said today that if she gets convicted, she can get life in prison with the possibility of parole after 20 years. Or is the 2021 case. That's
yeah,
the one
because she's on conspiracy. Yeah, she's not like direct murder. She's got getting the conspiracy for murder charge.
Well,
in this case.
I went down to the clerk's office after the hearing this morning, and I ordered all of her docket documents. Hopefully that means I also get the one that she filed today, because it's not going to be ready to pick up until Monday. But I ordered all of them, and we're going to have to go through some of them when I go pick up that flash drive on Monday.
Oh, definitely. Definitely, because there's a lot to unpack with this before it hits trial, and that's what we like to do, because I'm going to follow the trial. I followed her other trial. As hard as it was better than Delphi, because we at least got audio at the end of the darn day, which meant you were up all night listening to trial, but whatever. At least we had that. But this one, I believe, will be I don't know for sure if it's going to be televised. I haven't checked into that yet, but I do want to follow the trial, but to get everybody up to speed on what we're doing here and how we got here for this trial, because it is separate from her charges and conviction in Tylee and JJ's deaths. And of course, Chad was also charged with Tammy's death, his wife. And now we have Charles, which was Lori's former husband.
It's going to be interesting to see if it is televised, because there weren't very many people there today, again, like there wasn't yesterday. And I'm going to make this comment now before I forget, because I'm trying to do a short stream. So I'm going to forget it later, I guarantee you. This courtroom was tiny. There were either 2 double rows or 4 double rows, or 2 double rows of 4 chairs or 4 double rows of 4 chairs. So 4 and 4 or 5 chairs. So it could have been 10 and 10, 20 seats, or it could have been 8 and 8, 16 seats, but it was not more than that.
It didn't look very big. It's certainly not Ada County Courthouse for sure. And I noticed there wasn't a lot of people there. It's not as high profile coverage as was her trial in Idaho for Tylee and JJ.
Right. I imagine when we get closer to trial, especially after representing herself, there are going to be more people that show up for the trial. And if it's in the same courtroom, there's not going to be fist fights like there almost were in Delphi for those 16 chairs, but it could get tense if they don't have some kind of a court
I
decorum
must, well, I assume
who
that
they
they
pick
are.
to sit there.
Yeah, I don't know if, I mean, because we have the hearings, but like you were there, and when they were, it wasn't being aired live, but the local affiliate, their Fox affiliate, is uploading the hearings like an hour later. They're going online. They did that yesterday with that hearing, and they did it the same way today. So they're
Right.
getting
And
the
I asked that.
hearings uploaded. So I don't know if
So the
how
cameraman, the
Yeah.
cameraman was sitting outside the courtroom with us, waiting for them to unlock the door. It was courtroom 1104. Was Judge Berensky or Beresky, I forget, but they didn't unlock it until 8:20, and he's sitting there wondering if it's the right courtroom because it's locked. And I was like, "Yeah, it's 1104. It shows up under the judge's name and under Lori Vallow's name. She's a Vallow under the state, so that's the only time I'm going to say it." But I said, "Are you going live today?" And he goes, "Yeah, I think so." And so that's why I posted on Twitter, I think they may be going live. And I don't think they did. I haven't heard any
Yeah, I don't think it was actually
confirmation that they were
broadcast
live.
live. Mm-mm. I didn't see it live as it was happening, but I knew it was happening because you were there and reporting back on Twitter, and I was following you and checking the updates as they were coming in from you. And it wasn't on YouTube, but it was there like after the hearing was over, and I had touched base with you briefly. Yeah, then it was uploaded like an hour later. Is when I think I saw it. So I don't
Yeah.
know if they'll broadcast live, probably. So Court TV will probably carry it live, honestly, if it's
If they can.
broadcast live.
So the hearing yesterday, there were 2 TV cameras in there, and I don't know who the other one was. But
Yeah.
when they were told they couldn't go live, they didn't. And Fox 10, I think, was the only one that did a delayed broadcast. Anyway, let's go over Fox 10's coverage of it today.
Okay.
Let me pull it up here. I have it pulled up. Now I got to push play.
01704 Sierra 2022 001242.
Good morning, Your Honor. Katie Staub.
Just confirming you can hear that. Can you guys hear that?
Yes, I can hear it.
Okay, for the state.
Okay. So I want to point out one thing really quick, and I know I'm trying to do a short live, dang it, and I'm going to trip over myself. So right before we go live, right before this, the judge looks at the cameraman who's right behind the defense table, just behind the wooden wall that separates the gallery from the defense table. And I forget, there's a name for the front of the courtroom, but he says, "I just want to make sure that you don't do any zooming in of the defense table and pick up any sensitive documents that might be on the defense table." So I just want you to pay attention during that, because I kind of have a problem with this guy's camera coverage. And I don't see anything clearly in it, but I think other people might be able to if they have like enhanced video or something. But anyway, judge says to him that, and then they start.
001242.
Good morning, Your Honor. Katie
And
Staub.
she's got documents right there. She's pulling
for the state.
her documents out of her folder right there in front of the cameraman.
Pamela Hicks and Robert Abernathy.
And he was just instructed not to zoom in on the defense table.
Ma'am, can you tell me your name and date of birth, please?
Lori Daybell, 6/26, 1973.
All right, thank you. We're here for a status conference. You've been found competent by 2 separate healthcare providers. Is it your intention, ma'am, you had expressed earlier that you would like to represent yourself?
Yes, sir.
Is that still your intention?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
I may approach, Your Honor.
You do understand that you have the right to have attorneys represent you during your cases?
I do.
What grade did you finish in school?
I graduated from high school.
Do you read and understand English?
I do.
Have you had any drugs, alcohol, or medication in the last 24 hours?
No.
Are you currently prescribed any medications in the jail?
No.
Do you believe you're able to present a defense at trial?
I do.
Are you able to listen to what the court, counsel, and witnesses say during trial?
Yes, I will.
Do you believe you're able to ask witnesses questions that are relevant to the case and to your defense?
Absolutely.
Are you able to communicate effectively, do you believe, with the court, counsel, opposing counsel, and the jury?
I do.
I will make a finding that in court, you do appear to act appropriately, speak appropriately, and communicate appropriately. Have you ever represented yourself before?
Not yet.
I do have a waiver form, one for each of your cases. You've gone over that waiver form with your attorneys.
I did.
You understand the waiver forms.
I did.
You have the right to an attorney. If you can't afford an attorney, I would appoint one to represent you. The attorney would represent you at all critical stages of the case, including before trial, at trial, and if you're found guilty at sentencing. Do you understand that?
I do.
An attorney can be of great value and assistance in criminal cases. There are serious disadvantages and dangers to representing yourself. Can you just tell me a little bit why you want to represent yourself?
Yes, Your Honor, for the past 5 years that I've been incarcerated, I have taken it upon myself to study case law and criminal rules of procedure in the state of Idaho and Arizona, as well as federally. Prior to that, for the last 10 years, prior to my incarceration, I did study procedure in family law, and I have real trial experience. I have participated in 3 different full trials from beginning to end.
So we're going to listen to that part one more time, because that strikes me as she's somebody who gets the opportunity to tell everybody that she's the smartest person in the room again. So we're going to listen to that one more time, because the judge is like, why do you think you should represent yourself? And she's like, oh, well, here's all the ways that I'm qualified. Here's all the things that I have taken it upon myself to do, to be qualified to do this. And that I just noticed that picture of the defense attorney to her right that's an interesting look. I don't know if she's looking at documents or if she's kind of giving that look to Lori, but that's an interesting look. All right.
Yeah.
Here we go.
You narcissist.
She was dressed in a black, like stretchy pants thing today. And she put on that black jacket right at the end, but the black stretchy pants had like the zipper pockets on the side. So, I mean, she's a public defender and she does not get paid that well. And I imagine her caseload is ridiculous. So she's probably a little bit relieved that the judge granted this today.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
All right, let's all hear how Lori is the smartest person in the room.
Can you just tell me a little bit why you want to represent yourself?
Yes, Your Honor, for the past 5 years that I've been incarcerated, I have taken it upon myself to study case law and criminal rules of procedure in the state of Idaho and Arizona, as well as federally. Prior to that, for the last 10 years, prior to my incarceration, I did study procedure in family law, and I have real trial experience. I have participated in 3 different full trials from beginning to end.
In family court?
1 in family court, 2 in criminal court, 1 bench trial and 1 jury trial.
Okay. You understand that you have 2 separate cases here. On each of these cases, if you're found guilty at trial, you'd be facing a sentence of up to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25 years.
Yes, I'm well aware of that.
And you
25 years,
understand
not
that
20.
if convicted at trial, that those sentences could run consecutively or concurrently to any other sentence.
I am also well aware
Joe,
of
you
that.
got to echo.
All right.
Oh, hold on.
You understand that if you represent yourself, you'll have the sole responsibility for, among other things, asserting legal defenses, interviewing witnesses, doing investigation, doing legal research, filing and arguing motions, examining and cross-examining witnesses, giving an opening statement and a final argument to the jury. Do you understand all that?
Yes, Your Honor, and I'm very prepared.
All right. Do you also understand that you'd be held to the same standard as an attorney regarding the presentation of your case? This would include knowledge of courtroom procedure, applicable case law, rules of evidence, and rules of procedure?
Yes.
All right. Each of your attorneys have gone to college, undergrad degree for probably a minimum of 4 years, and then law school for an additional 3 years. So these 2 attorneys that are here in court each have, at a minimum, if not more, 14 years of higher education, as well as probably, I'm guessing, between the 2 of them, 30 to 40 years in trial experience. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Do you understand that your case may be specifically complicated in the sense that there are complicated evidentiary issues in your case. Do you believe you're able to present a defense?
Yes, I'm well aware of them.
All right. Do you also
Yes, I am well aware of them. Don't start getting snotty with the judge now.
Yeah,
She can't help herself. She can't
she
help
can.
herself.
She thinks she's justified in a lot of the things that she's done, or in this case, she's going to say that she hasn't done because she didn't pull the trigger. It's going to be interesting to see how she decides to do this and if she can follow procedure correctly, you know?
Well, I can't wait to see what the probable cause affidavit and that stuff, or whatever they call them in Arizona, because I want to know why the state is charging what they're charging and what they're charging, and start trying to figure out what she thinks her defense is going to be. But she came ready with a motion today. So her defense team filed an initial motion to compel discovery, which is standard courtroom filing. And then the state filed a response to that motion to compel discovery. And she came in today with her own response to the response to compel discovery. So she's been working on her own stuff. And I think that's admirable, actually. But she also came in expecting the judge, I think, to grant her motion to represent herself. So I wonder if her defense team that she has now, that is now just consulting attorneys, like on standby, I wonder if they helped her with that, or if she did it all herself. They're going to hold a hearing on January 10th. I think it's a status hearing, but I think they're also going to discuss those motions, the motion to compel, the response, and the response to the response.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I don't know if she's...
understand that if at some point, especially...
No, go ahead. What was that? I'm sorry.
But she's had a lot of time to sit around and go through the law books and get acquainted with the system.
Well, she said, I've been studying while I've been in jail for the last 5 years. She said that specifically. Plus, she mentioned her previous, I studied family law before that and a couple of other things. She sat through 3 trials, 1 civil trial, 2 criminal trials.
I mean, who can say that, right? I've been said to and sat through 3 full trials. Like, what, lady? Okay.
All right.
If you're in the middle of trial, you decide that you would like your attorneys to take over the case, you'd be effectively waiving any ineffective assistance of counsel claim that you might have because they might like a longer time to prepare?
Correct.
All right. Do you understand that even if I may allow you to represent yourself, I'll be appointing these attorneys to represent you as advisory counsel?
That's my understanding.
All right. If you want to testify at trial, you'd not be able to testify in a narrative format. Instead, you'd need to write out the questions, and the advisory counsels would ask you a question when you testify.
Yes, that's what I'm aware of.
All right. You can change your mind about this at any time. If at any time you want to be represented by your advisory counsel, let me know. I will appoint them back to represent you as your attorneys of record. But once you make the choice to have the lawyer represent you again, I wouldn't allow you to switch back and forth. Do you understand that as well?
Correct.
You also understand that if you ask your advisory counsel to take the case back over in full, you wouldn't be able to repeat anything that had already happened in the case or do over.
Correct.
All right. Because you'll be acting as your own attorney, you'd be expected to appear for every court hearing and every day of trial. If you do not appear for hearings or trial without good cause, I could consider your non-appearance to be an indication that you want to withdraw your right to represent yourself, and I would order your advisory counsel to become your attorney. Do you understand that as well?
Sure.
Your right to represent yourself is not absolute, and what I mean by that is if you fail to follow procedures, if you don't act appropriate in the courtroom, your right to represent yourself could be revoked. Do you understand that as well?
I do understand that.
All right. Do you have any questions about anything?
I just was going to ask if we were going to move forward from this today and if we are going to be able to reset trial.
We will.
Okay.
All right. I did receive your form. Is this your signature at the bottom of each form?
It is.
And I think I already asked you this, but I'll ask you it again. Your signature appears on this form after you went over it completely with your attorney?
Correct.
All right, the court finds your waiver to an attorney is knowingly, intelligently, voluntarily made. I guess I should ask you, did anyone force you or threaten you to waive your right to an attorney?
No, quite the opposite.
Did anyone promise you anything in order to get you to waive your right?
Whoa, wait, whoa. Did you catch that? Did anybody threaten or coerce you to waive your right to have counsel represent you? No, quite the opposite.
She
What does that mean? That chick sitting next to her to her right, that gal, her public defender, and the dude to her left, who is either co-counsel or some kind of assistant legal counsel, but he's allowed to be in there, so I think he's probably co-counsel. They're both
and
like,
he just
hey,
said they're
have at it.
their advisory council that they're appointed now.
Well,
just-
they are now.
Yeah,
But until
yeah.
he made this ruling today, they were lead counsel and co-counsel for the defense.
And they're probably glad because
Yeah,
it's like working with a Sarah Boone type person, right? I mean,
right.
at some
But
point,
he
it's
says,
probably like,
did anybody threaten or coerce you to have them not represent you? No, quite the opposite. They're like, have at it, girl.
You're right.
Have at it. I didn't catch that when I was in the courtroom. I'm glad, because I probably would have cracked up right behind her, because I was literally in the front row right behind the defense table, and you can be cracking up when you're there. I mean, you might get thrown out or something.
no, probably wouldn't have been. You probably would have got a little looking at by that judge. He might have said, "Well, I don't blame you for that one."
Yeah, maybe. and I think lead counsel sitting to her right probably would have been like, you heard what I heard.
To an attorney?
Yeah.
All right, I do find your waiver is to knowingly, intelligently, voluntarily made. Your waiver is accepted and entered of record. You will be your own attorney on the case. I will keep these attorneys on as your advisory counsel. Again, if you change your mind and would like them to take over the case, you need to let me know, okay?
Okay.
Your current last day is May 11. I'm assuming you want to set a trial date within that last day.
Yes, I do.
All right, we're going to set a trial date March 31st for jury selection at 8:30 a.m. Well, we'll set it at, for now, 9 a.m. That could change the time, but we'll keep the date, March 31st. I'm going to, can I ask advisory counsel, in the event that she wishes to conduct interviews, would you be assisting her in that, or would your office have an investigator that would assist?
Either or.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I think generally OPDS will assign an investigator for that purpose, and we would ask the court to endorse OPDS on this minute, minute entry.
All right, the court will appoint an investigator through the Office of Public Defense Services to assist Ms. Vallow in any investigation and or setting up of interviews of any potential witnesses in the trial. I am going to set a status conference to make sure everything's on track for the trial date. I'll ask you again, my understanding is there's a large amount of discovery. You're sure that you're going to be ready in time for March 31st?
Yes, Your Honor. Also, I have a reply to the state's response. I know that we said if you were to let me go pro per, that I would have 3 days to make this response, and I have a copy for the court and a copy for the state, if I could give you that.
Response to what?
To the state's response to my motion to compel discovery. That was filed prior to the Rule 11.
Okay, I'm going to have to,
I believe the public defender's office filed it, correct?
was it your prior attorneys that filed the motion to
They
compel
did,
discovery?
correct, yes.
I remember now, we did hold that in advance because of the Rule 11 proceedings. So you can go, you're ready to file your reply? All right.
There's one for the state as well.
Did you get,
But there's one-
Attorney Trina Kay filed a response. You received that and saw that?
Yes, this is my reply to her response.
All right, I'll take a look at those pleadings because to be honest, I haven't looked at them for a little bit. I'm going to set a status conference just to make sure everything's on track. Let's set that at 8:30 a.m. Friday, January 10.
One more time, Your Honor, I'm sorry.
8:30 a.m. Friday, January 10.
Can I use your pen?
Let me write it for you, just.
Does that work for the state?
As far as I
Whoa.
know.
Whoa. Did you just hear that whispering?
I did.
When I'm sitting in the gallery and Fox 10 News camera is setting up his camera, he gets it set up, and then all the attorneys go back behind the judge's bench. They go up the ramp to the right and out that door that's on the far back right. I don't know what that leads to, if that leads to rooms that can be like for attorney-client privileged rooms. I know it probably goes back to the judge's chambers. There's probably 3 or 4 or 5 rooms back there, but they all go back there, and then a couple of them come back out, and the judge comes out, not in his robe. So he's just like checking out the courtroom, and he comes over to the Fox 10 cameraman, and he goes, "So what audio does that camera pick up?" And the Fox 10 guy goes, "Oh, there's no audio recording right now." And he goes, "No, but when you record this proceeding, what audio are you going to pick up?" And he goes, "Well, I'm plugged into the court audio, so I should just be picking up the court audio." I'm not sure that we didn't hear more than that just now, because there is a big, not a boom mic, but there's a professional mic on the front of that camera. And I'm wondering if it picked up the whispering through the court microphone or through that camera mic, that professional camera microphone. I'm going to play that one more time. Just listen to this whispering.
Let me write it for you. Just
Does that work for
I
the
don't
state?
think that's the court microphone.
Okay.
I think that is the Fox 10 microphone, because they're like 2 feet back from their court microphones.
Well, they didn't pull a fast one.
Oh man, they better
They're
not.
going to get in trouble. Like they
are.
Well,
with
like
Judge
courts.
Bull.
Well, they did it in Idaho when they had allowed cameras in the Koberger case, and then they were zooming in on him, and they got in trouble with the judge, and they were told, don't do that again. Don't zoom in on the defendant. Well, the next hearing that came up, they did it again, and the judge warned them. That's when they went with the fixed camera. Then the courtroom has the control over.
Right. Well, the according to the Journal and Courier reporter that was standing in line with me on day 1 of the trial, he said that Judge Gull actually allowed cameras in for that one hearing where Rosie and Baldwin were kicked off of the case. And the reason that she kicked cameras out of that courtroom and every courtroom thereafter was because they continued to record during a moment that was supposed to be off the record. And so she's like, never again. You guys are all out of here for the rest of the hearings and the trial. That was according to the Journal and Courier reporter that was standing in line with me. So
it's not hard to follow the rules. It really isn't. And you go and ruin it for everybody that, to the point where they won't have cameras in. And it's ridiculous. But I don't understand why all of the courtrooms don't just do the fixed camera situation. It's so simple. And then you don't got to rely on those pool feeds to take care of it with their cameras and their microphones. Just let the court do it with a fixed camera, and there's no zooming in and out and all the things.
He just told the cameraman not to zoom in on the defense table in case he sees sensitive documents, and he's right there looking when she pulls her documents out of the manila envelope. Yeah, he's right there on those.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you could see in the Idaho case, you could see the defense tables, laptops, and everything, and that was a big thing there. Like, no, this can't be happening. So they got in trouble, and that was court TV. Then they did it again, like I said. Yeah, so they just need to follow the damn rules. Gosh.
Yeah.
For everyone on the defense.
Yes. So.
Okay. Is there anything else from the state? One other thing I wanted to address. My understanding is the state, we do have 2 separate cases here. The state would proceed to trial on the 2021 case first. Yes.
That's correct. The first in time case.
All right.
He's zooming in on her.
I think jury selection in this case could take longer than usual. Excluding jury selection, how much trial time do you think the state would take to present their side of the case?
I'm sorry, I don't have that information.
Okay, we'll wait till January to talk to Attorney Kay about that, just so we can block the appropriate amount of time in March. Well, I guess it'll be mostly April.
Your Honor, did you want to set a TMC as well?
No.
FTMC.
Yeah, that makes sense. Let's set that for. Let's set that for March 21. I'm sorry, no, not March 21. March 18. I'm going to set that before my morning calendar, my normal morning calendar, so at 8:20 a.m. All right, anything else from you?
My understanding is that it will be two totally different trials. Is that
Correct.
correct? So this is just, we're just setting things and we're just doing this for the first trial.
Right. Well, you should be getting discovery for both cases as they go along, but the first trial will be on the 2021 case. And then at the conclusion of that trial, we'll talk about when we're going to try the second case.
So all discovery deadlines will be for the first 2021 case.
Presumably, yeah. But we'll talk about how much discovery there is we would expect from the state when we come back in January. All right. Anything else?
No, thank you.
All right, we'll be at recess on this matter. Thank you.
All right, there you have it. It was short and sweet, and we got to see how she's the smartest person in the room. And
Well, she
I
seems
gotta tell you-
coherent enough. I mean, she doesn't seem
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
she,
absolutely. No,
you know.
she definitely has been studying the law. I mean, she said representing herself pro something, and it wasn't pro se. And I always thought it was pro se if you're representing yourself. So there's something else in Arizona that the equivalent of pro se, and she knew what it was, and I have no idea what it was. So she's smarter than me for sure.
Well, go
She wasn't
Lori.
as-
Good luck with all
Yeah.
that, you know.
She wasn't as attractive today. Like her eyebrows, like I think she was putting those on in the van because they were kind of like a little
Yeah,
zaggy.
they get that way sometimes. That's not the first time she's had the zigzag business going on. But I guess, you know, that them jailhouse, you know, salons, you can only get what you get, and that's just what she got, getting what she deserves.
Right.
You know, going through life with all these husbands and a lot of people dead in your wake. I mean, goodness, lady. So I guess she thinks that she can beat these charges on this conspiracy to murder her husband. Is that, you know, her brother claimed it was self-defense when he shot and killed Alex, or when Alex killed him.
Right.
But he's no
There was a
longer
baseball
here
bat
to
and
face
block.
those charges, right? You know, Alex died, so he can't face the murder charge of Charles, but they certainly got her on the conspiracy to murder. And if Alex hadn't passed away, he would be facing murder charge on Charles Vallow right now.
Right. And maybe one or the other of them would be made an offer to testify against the other one. And
Yeah,
because
because
her and her brother were very, very close. And I
don't know if he would have done it. I don't know if he would have thrown her under the bus to do that.
I don't think so.
Yeah, from what we've heard and what we've seen him do for her, it would be a hard call. I think he'd have a hard time throwing her under the bus at this point if he was still around. You know, that's a whole other suspicion there with his demise. But yeah, there's just a lot with this lady, and I guess she thinks she can do a better job representing herself than these attorneys can.
I guess we'll find out. But regardless of how she does, it's going to be a shit show. It's going to be.
Yeah, because you got to think the only reason you would do it is either you honestly think you're the smartest person in the room, you're smarter than all the attorneys, or you don't like their line of defense. They're telling you what's best for you in these circumstances. They got this evidence against you, and here's the route we think you need to take. And then it's up to you to decide if you take it or not. And if she's saying, no, I'm not doing that because that's going to show I might have done something when I absolutely didn't do anything. So, you know, like it's like with Sarah Boone attorneys, they're probably like, thank God I'm off this case. You know, this lady won't listen, you know.
Right. Right. And if you're a public defender, and Sarah Boone's were not public defenders, they were volunteer private attorneys. These two are public defenders. And what do they do 99% of the time is they plea out. They find a plea that everybody can be agreeable to, and they plea out. This is not that. She's not pleading out to anything.
Mm-mm.
All right,
No,
I gotta go. I gotta go get the charcoal started so we can have some grilled steaks tonight.
Yeah, he's having grilled steaks, guys.
They've been marinating in this Brazilian steakhouse marinade for a couple hours now.
Oh, goodness. I'm going to go eat myself, and I'm thinking about going live in a little while. If I don't go live tonight, I am going to go live sometime late in the morning. There's quite a few things that have happened this week that I do want to talk about a little in depth. So I'm kind of bored, so I don't know. I may pop in and go ahead and do the live tonight. I don't know. So you're going to be grilling on the grill, huh?
Oh yeah, charcoal for steaks is the
Mhm.
only way to go. Gas grills don't quite do it for steaks.
No, they don't really. They don't. Okay. Well, I'll let you guys know if I'm going to go live. It depends on how I feel after I eat. If I might get really tired and lazy and be like, it's cold. But no, I do have some things lined up that I do want us to talk about. So I'll let you know.
All right. I
Okay.
put a link to your YouTube channel in there in chat. Everybody make sure you sub up to Salty.
Yeah.
And
Because it's only
sign
6
up for
o'clock here.
notifications.
Yeah. It's only 6 my time. So I might go live about 8 o'clock. I'll let you guys know here in a little bit.
All right. We should be
All
done
right.
with dinner by then. All right.
Okay.
Thanks,
Okay.
everybody.
Sounds
Thanks for
good.
popping in. Thanks, Salty, for coming in and jumping
Oh,
in.
no problem. All right. Have a good
And
night, guys. We'll see you again soon, probably.
see you soon.
All right. Bye.